Michael Saylor should also have freedom. But I don't think it's going to happen though. It's too late. Bitcoin now at 100K is much better deal than 10 years ago for $100, because it was. So you do exactly the opposite of what everyone is doing, and it works in this situation. It truly is parallel society and parallel economy.
Do you think this is going to change in the future?
Of course, you should spend when the price is high, but what is high price? You don't know when, but you know that you are saving 30% on your capital expenses.
Welcome back to Your Bitcoin Story, the show where we explore the journeys of the boldest minds in the world of Bitcoin and beyond. With your host, Gigi. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies the spirit of freedom, innovation, and disruption. He's not just a technologist or a cypherpunk. He's a liberty hacker, a relentless entrepreneur, and a philosophical hacker of life itself. Joining me today is Juraj, a man who wrote his first computer program at the age of 6 and never stopped pushing boundaries since. He's a co-founder of numerous companies, a driving force behind Parallelni Polis, and a thought leader in personal sovereignty, privacy, and security. Whether it's teaching people how to take control of their finances with Bitcoin or helping them reclaim their freedom through entrepreneurship, Juraj doesn't just talk about freedom. He lives it, breathes it, and helps others find it. Get ready for a deep dive into hacking life, liberty, and the future of money with one of the most fascinating voices in the Bitcoin space. Juraj, welcome to Your Bitcoin Story.
Thank you. That was a very beautiful introduction.
Well, it's my pleasure. I try to do my best to do my homework right and hit it off on a positive note. And thank you, Juraj, so much for taking the invite and coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Sure.
So, Juraj, before we get into how you first discovered Bitcoin, I want to zoom out a little bit. As I mentioned, you describe yourself as a hacker, entrepreneur, and a freedom seeker. How did your journey towards liberty and personal sovereignty begin?
Liberty. I don't know. Most libertarians have some kind of a traumatic story, bullying in school or like strict parents or something. I did not experience any such thing. My childhood was very free and nice. I can't complain about anything like that. Maybe one of the first instances when I started to think about liberty and that some things are more free than others was actually when I discovered the Linux operating system. Because it was at the time when there was Windows 3.1, which was a very basic operating system, and Windows 95 was just coming up, and everyone was looking forward to it. And I've been in contact with some friends, and they all said, it's very cool that everyone is expecting this, but we already have all this in Linux. It's like it has the beautiful window environment. There was a real multitasking and things like that. So they said, like, why wait for Windows 95
when you can have it today, right?
When you can have something much better today. Yeah. So I got something, back then it was a lot of diskettes, and like installing Linux distribution was quite a time-consuming task. But one of the reasons why it was time-consuming, because there was so much software built in. There were like compilers. You had like 5 pieces of software for everything. You had FTP clients back then and Gopher clients, first web clients, and so on. And there was so much choice. So it was not even that you could modify the source code, which eventually is also a nice thing to do, or build your own Linux distribution, which I also did. or I changed distributions to work better with Slovak language because like Slovak keyboards wasn't the thing before, and fonts and everything. So I realized, okay, so this thing has everything and I can just go. I don't need even to go to the internet and find software and not even pirate it. Nothing. It was just all there. But of course, you had to learn how to use it. So that was the difference. Eventually, the Windows 95 came, and there was like one notepad, one terminal, command line prompt, one of everything, one Internet Explorer, and that was it. So someone has made a choice for you, which was very different.
If you're enjoying the show, it would mean a lot to me if you'd hit subscribe and leave a quick rating or review. It helps more people find these conversations and support the mission. And if you need help getting your Bitcoin off exchanges and into self-custody, or if you're ready to build a robust, bespoke inheritance plan, the Become Unruggable one-on-one consulting program where you will work exclusively with me is exactly what you're looking for. You can find all the ways to reach out to me in the show notes down below. I guess with your early experiences with tech going all the way back into early 90s, how did the aspect of hacking come to your life? And thinking more about kind of the control systems and personal agency, when did that take a hold in Juraj's life?
So I was quite early on the internet. We had there was a high school that I eventually went to, but when I was at elementary school, I kind of sneaked into their computing center, and they had internet, and also there were like BBS and modems and dial-up, but that was more expensive because you had to pay for the minutes. And early internet was like super inviting to hacking because
everything was open.
Everything was open. Everyone was totally happy that it just works. So like upgrading a vulnerable version of software, no, it would break. I will never touch it. Send mail works. It sends email. So no one was touching. So basically you could get anywhere if you wanted. Of course, the goal even back then was not like there was no money to be made on the internet. So even the hackers, they were like, okay, I break in, I patch the software, and then I write an email to the admin that I fixed the problem for them, or something didn't work. So you would fix it for people. So it was not malicious or evil in any way. There was a lot of pirated software called Vares back then.
Yeah.
So there was another kind of subculture, and then people were writing software and exploring what you could do with this new thing called the internet. For me, it had also a side story. I got an early, I would say, illegal job when I was 14 for an internet service provider.
Okay.
You're not allowed to work when you're 14 in Slovakia, but
summer job, right?
Yeah, I managed. I managed. But the problem was that there was this chicken and egg problem. Because no one was on the internet in Slovakia. And the reason was there was no Slovak content. And like, who would write Slovak content if no one would read it? So someone had to start. So I started doing what I believe it's contested, but I still believe it is the first Czechoslovak easing. That's like something like a blog, but it has issues. So it was out monthly, and there's like issue number 1 and 2, but basically was a blog. And the goal was, and this internet service provider would pay me and a bunch of my friends to actually create some content for the internet, so people would come to read something. So that was a very nice experience. I was also sysadmin of many of the servers and so on. And this is like it's the hacker culture and internet culture back then was super interesting. Everyone was helping out everyone else, and I think this is one of the few things that that Bitcoin culture actually has in common. Because let's say you are working for a company that makes whatever hardware wallets or exchanges and so on, and yes, you are competing, you have competitors, but in the end, you are usually invested more in the Bitcoin ecosystem itself. So even when your competition succeeds, it's all good, you know. So
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. So you are pushing the limits. You are. It's very exciting. You are exploring new things. But even if you don't succeed, you can still cheer up for your competition or anyone else who has a better idea, and you can be genuinely happy. Oh, someone figured out a better way than me. So, for example, I was doing something because there were then a few of these electronic zines back then, and they had and people would find one of them and they didn't know about the others. So I created an aggregator of all the articles from all the first electronic magazines, which it was basically a very primitive form of RSS, which didn't exist back then. And we would aggregate and we would kind of send people to other people's projects because there were no ads to sell. It didn't matter. So some zines started selling ads even back then, but it was basically, yes, we want people on the internet. Doesn't matter if they read my work or someone else's work. The goal is just to bring people here, and then we can make use of this network because it's a network. It's
For
useless
sure.
if no one's there. So Bitcoin, I think, has the same background. So
Yeah, no, for sure. You know what you were just explaining, your kind of the early days with the internet really does. Like, I was a little bit too young. I was running in my diapers and exploring the early web. I went on Windows 98 and experienced the beautiful dial-up experience and LimeWire and BitTorrents and all of that a little bit later down the road.
still kind of early, I would say.
Yeah, which Gen Zs have no idea about the headaches and the slow bandwidth that we had back then. But, you know, kind of the resemblance is this kind of freedom aspect, right, that we have today in Bitcoin, where everybody can focus and collaborate on things to kind of build this next thing that we have no idea what we're building. Like the early days in internet, who knew, you know, we would be using these programs and how interconnected we would be and how much of an impact it has on our life. So maybe on that aspect, Juraj, of freedom, what does freedom truly mean to you today? And how has that definition evolved to you personally over time?
Yes, so I have three very useful definitions of freedom. One that most people would say is basically no one tells me what I have to do. It's like when you are in a 9 to 5 job and you have a boss and they tell you, or if you have a teacher and or a school and they force you to go there from be there at some time and do homework and tests or do some work. They say, I want to be free from this, and of course the way how to do it and exactly how the unfreedom or the lack of freedom looks is different. For some, it's not the boss. For some, it's the mortgage they have to pay. So it's basically absence of control over your autonomy and your decision. It's one form of freedom. But when we started Parallelni Polis, maybe we will talk about Parallelni Polis a little bit later. But so it was this place, basically, I would say one of the ways how to explain it is a freedom incubator or a parallel society. And then people would come there, many of them from their 9 to 5 jobs. And they would, you know, sit at the place, at the couch and enjoy, you know, now I'm free. And and now what? What are
do we do
what are
now?
we going to do? Now it's free. Okay, I'll get a flat white, but I don't get 3 more. So what do we do? And only a tiny percentage of people have, and it's a learned thing, have this experience of creative freedom. So now no one's telling you what to do. So how do you feel it? That's the creative type of freedom when you start writing codes, doing podcasts. You have an idea and you say, oh, okay, I want to do this. And I think people have to learn this. If they don't have experience and they just escaped the first level, then
They can feel a little bit lost in what's their life meaning.
Because they don't have the experience of the creativity that always came from some kind of authority. So that's very interesting. It can be learned. It's not a trait. It can be learned, but it has to be practiced, and that's maybe quite hard for some people. But when you experience it, then it's also kind of addictive. So it's easier than working out or something. It's a muscle, but when you get the taste of it, then most people, I would say, are quite hooked. And the third definition is a little bit more technical, and it's optionality. So what are the things that you can do but don't have to do? So optionality, one example would be for people that even had full-time jobs. If they had the option to work from home before the pandemic, the pandemic was basically easy for them because they said, okay, now I'm exercising the option. Nothing changed. I'm doing the same things I've been doing. And even before the pandemic, they didn't necessarily have to exercise the option. Maybe they did it like one day out of a week or 1 day out of a month, but they had the possibility of doing that. So there was nothing else to do. Okay, I always had this option and now I'm just exercising it. With Bitcoin, for example, the option is that you can use the value of Bitcoin at least as a collateral, even if you're not selling it. You have the option of taking out the loan. It increases your options. So this one is kind of probabilistic because you cannot directly feel it. It's a possibility to do something in the future, but you already have it. It's not something you seek when you need it. That's the thing about options. It's a little bit like insurance. You can't take insurance if your roof is already on fire. You have to acquire it before, because otherwise it's quite expensive. So
true.
thinking about freedom in a sense of options that you have is also very useful. And then another thing. So this is kind of my scale. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I think you need to experience all of them,
and they all complement each other.
Yes, definitely. And then there is the subject of freedom. So freedom of time, what you can do with your time, freedom of place, freedom of people you interact with, freedom of money, of course, is very nice. Money is the ultimate form of optionality because money you can exchange for anything else. So in this sense, money is freedom in this way. Of course, you need to think about the options and what you are going to do with them, but it gives you optionality and freedom of purpose and all these things. So it is, I think, kind of this subject of freedom is also important to think about because many people have freedom only in one area of their life and they lack it in others. And freedom works better when it's complete and kind of
have a symbiosis of different aspects working together than just one choice.
Yes.
I love it. You brought up a really nice, aspect of optionality. Usually we, especially on Twitter, Bitcoin, everybody likes talking about freedom, but nobody really talks about the optionality. And I think that is, when no matter how much money you have, but if you're stuck in one place with the same people, that freedom is very limited. But Bitcoin gives us this full global optionality where if you don't like where you're living, the environment, how you're being treated, how you're being taxed, or just generally how life is, you can just pack up and leave. And that optionality, I think, kind of bolsters your overall experience on this planet, which is actually really short. We think we live for a very long time, but as you get older, and I'm sure you can relate to that as well, you're a few years older than me, but with me as well, as I'm getting older and I cross that 30-year mark, it's like, wow, like time is just like going really fast. And having options is, I would arguably say, is one of the most important things, because you are free to really live the life that you want. And as you said, you need the component of those things, option of where you keep your money, how you transact, where you live, what you ingest in your body. So I really love. I wasn't expecting a freedom answer in a scale of three different things, but I love how you put it together, and I think it's something really important for the listeners to kind of digest what you just said, because these are important things that everybody has to choose for themselves. Going back to the choice aspect, it's not like someone tells you, Gigi, go out and be free, and you're like, what does that mean? How do I do it? You need to come to those things together. But I think
then also I think one important aspect is what is it for? Like, why? Like,
yes,
is it like, do you really need to be free? Like, I often ask myself, why can't I just be normal? Mortgage, family, full-time job. I can do that as well. And like, people have happy lives, they live happy lives. But I think basically freedom is expanding kind of your worldview to many different things. As you said, if you consider a person who lives in one place, I'm from Slovakia, so okay, I will always live in Slovakia because my bank is here, my mortgage, my house or apartment is here. Then first of all, yes, it's kind of like a closed worldview. You can read news about what is happening somewhere else, but then it also gives you kind of this negative bias, and you are rightfully stressed. Oh, there's a new government, they're introducing taxes, and you are upset, you feel negative. But when you have the option, say, a new government, maybe I will go next door. Maybe they are not as bad, and so maybe. But it's not only about the place, like, income is taxed. Maybe it's time in my life to just spend time with my children and not have any income right now. And that's also an option which you have to acquire before. So yeah,
you need to prepare for that option. It's not like one day you wake up, I will opt out and just live on what's in my bank account, 10,000 euros. Sorry, kids, pot noodles for the next 12 months.
Exactly. So I think this opening of the of your mind, basically, and being really open to use these options, it kind of removes all this negativity about the world, because now I'm not from Slovakia, I'm from planet Earth. Maybe later I will be from the solar system. Right now, planet Earth is what I have to limit myself to. But then, well, this year, where is the best place to be? And it's like for business, for the family, for the
leisure.
For leisure, for money. Money doesn't have to be anywhere; it can be everywhere with Bitcoin. So you can really pick the best parts of the world.
Yeah, no, and I mean, there was no better time ever in human history to have that optionality to live wherever you want, to work on whatever you want, and of course, to hold your wealth in something that's unconfiscatable was unheard of. It would be interesting to see what the Romans would have thought of Bitcoin, because it was certainly a different world 2,000 years ago. But I want to move forward from the freedom aspect to something that's dear to you and which we touched upon already a little bit earlier, the aspect of hacking. And you often say you can hack everything, right? From life to travel to your body. What does hacking mean in a broader sense beyond computers?
I would say it's an experiment to use something in a non-traditional way or a way it was not supposed to work. So an example I like to give is that some hacker bought the robotic vacuum cleaner, some kind of Roomba or something.
Yeah.
And they realized that they really liked vacuum cleaning. Now the robot is doing it for them. So they created this magic wand where they could sit on a bed and they could control the cleaner and they could actually vacuum. So a robotic vacuum cleaner is not meant to be controlled by any device. It doesn't make any sense. But you try it anyway, and you can do it. So it's very, very non-traditional way of looking at things, challenging kind of premises, what people believe in, and seeing if there is not some kind of better way. So yes, you can do experiments like, what if I stop eating gluten, for example? You touched on food.
Yeah.
And it's something that you are not supposed to do. They're like, gluten is everywhere. They're selling it everywhere. Or, people are trying these carnivore diets. And it's something not traditional. We are not supposed to do it by some kind of official narrative. But you try it anyway, and some people have good results with it. Some people don't. It's not for everyone. I'm not a carnivore myself, but
You don't have steak 3 times a day, Yuri. I thought you try not to.
Carnivore is not about what you eat, but what you don't eat. So you
That's
can
true.
have steak often, even like I spend a lot of time in South America, and we have the best steak. So
Yes, it would be hard to pass.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, no, I love it. And, an aspect when people hear kind of hacking has this negative correlation to it today. People hear hacking and they're thinking of people on the dark web, like breaking into your computer and robbing you of your data. But actually hacking from like historically what came from a good place. Why do you think there's this dogma today on the word hacking? Why are people so like afraid of it and not more encouraged to explore hacking ways of their life, not just digital hacking?
I think they are actually. I think it's quite common. There's a big movement of biohacking. There's life hacking and all these things. So even if you have seen the movie Hackers,
No.
one of the it's quite a good movie actually, starring
Definitely check it
Angelina
out.
Jolie, young Angelina Jolie. But one of the characters there, when they're kind of, I don't remember exactly, I think they're arrested or something, yells out of the like full lung, hack the planet. and that's true. You can use this approach for anything. So I don't think the negative connotation is like it used to be worse, I would say, at least. I remember we were starting a hackerspace in Bratislava, and some members when we were starting, they said, "Oh, we should not call it a hackerspace, because they would think we are bad guys." And and a lot of us actually said, no, that's precisely why it should be called a hacker space, because they come, they see that we are 3D printing and soldering and doing light installations and later Bitcoin and stuff, and there's nothing bad going there. So so I think it's no longer the case. I think it came back, and talking about hacking in these positive connotations is quite common.
Got it. No, I hope so too. And especially with what we're seeing today in this kind of digital distributed world that we're doing, kind of everything to a certain extent is hacking. So there is good in it. And my final thing that I had in mind that I want to touch upon about hacking, and then we'll finally get to your Bitcoin story. How did you discover Bitcoin? Do you think everyone has the potential to hack, or is it a mindset that some people are just born with?
I don't know if you are born with it, but it is definitely teachable and learnable. I have written a book about hacking. Unfortunately, it's encrypted for most of your listeners because it's in Slovak. But I will maybe publish now with AI. I can do an English version. But basically, the way you approach it is you just contrast it with other forms of discovery. So one of the common ways how to discover new things and make new things is science. So what is different between science and hacking? Science is very systematic, so it kind of tries to build on some principles, and then you try to make it ideally falsifiable. You try to have the result, have a result that can be replicated by other people. With hacking, you skip everything. So the goal is you want to do something now. You also do an experiment. So that's what it has in common with science. But it's an experiment. You don't care if anyone could replicate it in the future. You don't care if it will work for other people. You know, I say you can have like cables, and like doesn't have to be soldered. It can be kind of put together with duct tape. But you are just trying things out and see if they work. It has a problem that, you know, it might not work for other people. So you basically write it's an experiment where n equals 1. So it's just experiment on you. But if I think that this what it has common, what hacking has common with science is the fun part of science as well. So you go like you don't bother with all the, you know, bureaucracy and form and, you know, academic titles and research funding and all these. You just get to the fun stuff. So that's one thing. Then I think another way how you can create things and experiment with things is entrepreneurship. There also you need something that is replicable, but you can build and experiment a lot more. You don't have to, like, the only proof is paying customers, so you don't have to convince your academic peers or anyone like that. So if you see hacking in contrast with these various forms of experimentation, figuring things out and discovery, then you can see that, okay, this is like, if you can do science or if you can be an entrepreneur, you can do it yourself. So it's basically making all these things easier. Doesn't have all the benefits, like you don't get citations for your hack except for websites like Hackaday, and you won't get rich if you are just hacking, if you're not turning anything into business, but still the discovery part is still there, and you can just focus on that and make it work for you, then maybe share it with others. So I think it's definitely a learnable trait. As with anything, I think the only way to learn anything is by doing. It's like
True.
you won't learn hacking by reading a book, and I'm saying it as a person who wrote I don't know how many, 6 books now. So books are nice, but they just tell you what you need to try yourself. So
one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin mining is decentralization. When mining is decentralized, it means that no single entity controls the majority of the mining power. This is essential for maintaining the security and integrity of the Bitcoin network, and it's something that Sazmining is deeply committed to. By mining with Sazmining, you're contributing to the decentralized network and helping to ensure that Bitcoin protocol remains open, transparent, and secure. But why is decentralization so important? Well, when mining is centralized, as it is to a major point at the moment, it creates a single point of failure, making the network more vulnerable to attacks and manipulations. By spreading out the mining power across a network of independent miners, we can ensure that the network remains resilient to censorship and centralization. And with Sazmining, you can rest assured that your mining operation is part of a larger decentralized network that's working together to secure the Bitcoin protocol. Sazmining is committed to decentralization and offers a range of mining plans that allow you to participate in the network regardless of your budget or technical expertise. With their easy-to-use platform, you can start mining Bitcoin in just a few clicks and join the thousands of other miners who are helping to secure the Bitcoin protocol. And with their expert team and state-of-the-art equipment, you can rest assured that your mining operation is running at maximum efficiency. But decentralization isn't just about security, it's about freedom. When we decentralize mining, we're giving people the power to take control of their own Bitcoin and to participate in the network on their own terms. And that's something that Sazmining is deeply passionate about. That's why you're able to mine your Bitcoin on the ocean pool if you choose to do so. By mining with Sazmining, you're not only contributing to the security of the network, but you're also helping to promote freedom and decentralization in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Start mining wild sats today with Sazmining and get $50 off your first rig by signing up with the link in the show notes. Don't just buy Bitcoin, earn it the way Satoshi intended. I can fully relate to that. It's like trying to learn to play the guitar. If you're just going to be sitting there watching YouTube videos and never touching the strings with your own fingers, you will never learn how to play the guitar. So like, it's the same thing. Like, you really need to go out and do it. That's why I think to a large extent, modern day schooling like doesn't really teach you anything, because it's all just words in a textbook, and then you have an exam which tests your memory. How good can you remember these things? You know, who got an arrow in his eye and at what year, and which king got decapitated. But actually, like, then you finish school and you're like, what do I do? And you're not asking about freedom, you're asking just generally, what do I do now? And it's like, it's learning. It's all about actually doing and breaking things. People are scared. They think, oh, wait, if it doesn't work out, like, what if it doesn't work out? Well, if you don't try, you will never know. So that's the beauty of life, I guess. That discovering things, hacking things, and making things that, I just said, primarily you want things for yourself. And then if other people like it too, there you go. You potentially stumbled upon a business idea. But most people today, they think, how do I make a profitable business? And they spend so much R&D money and everything. And then they put out a product that nobody really wants. And it's to a large extent waste. So I guess let's transition now to the orange side of Juraj. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Essentially, what most listeners are like, Gigi, come on, we're half an hour in, we're talking about life hacking, and where's the juicy Bitcoin story? So I guess let's jump to that one. Can you take us back to when you first heard about Bitcoin, and what did you initially think about it?
I learned it from Slashdot, which was maybe still is a website for like open source Linux techies. I don't know. I don't read it anymore, but someone wrote that there is this new decentralized internet money.
What year was that? Sorry for interrupting.
I don't
like 11,
remember.
12?
Maybe
Long time.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
A decade ago. We'll put a round
Yes,
figure on it.
yes. I'm very bad with dates. I never
No
remember
worries.
what happened when. But it had to be a little bit, maybe 2009, 10. But it was like I remember that the article said that if you run a software on your computer, it will generate coins. So I said, okay, this cannot be money. Like if anyone can just generate it on
free.
computer, like it's like why would I sell something for it when I can generate it? So
Yeah.
I kind of discounted it at first, but then I started reading about it, and I have to say, even back then, I was already a gold bug a little bit. Not in a sense that I would have a lot of gold. Unfortunately, I didn't. But I realized that if I want to have some kind of financial plan for life, to gain, now I would say optionality. I didn't call it that back then. But I was trying to save some money. I was, already an entrepreneur, but I was having like all my energy. I invested all the money into the company. So I said, okay, what if this doesn't work? I don't have a plan for my life actually, and what if I want to start a family and so on? So I started saving. For saving, I needed some kind of financial plan. But if you want to have a long-term financial plan, you cannot use fiat. It doesn't make any sense because you would have to update it once a year, and it's like I'm too lazy. So I actually had a plan in US dollars back then. But then I said, okay, I'll just convert everything into grams of gold and percentages. So if I want to save 10% of my income or something like that.
Yeah.
So I have, of course, been into physical gold, but there was back then also e-gold, which was very nice. It was kind of internet money denominated
Xiaomi
gold.
had e-gold, right?
No, it was not. It was a centralized issuer, basically a website, and they had like a network of dealers. So it was not e-cash based. It was basically a website, maybe something like goldmoney.com today, where you can have an account denominated in ounces of gold, and they would just store it for you. But the idea was it was not a gold storage, but you could also pay with it. So you could send it to any other user. Of course, it was full of scammers immediately, and like this new internet thing. So people started doing these Ponzi schemes and everything. But still, it was so I had some kind of experience with some sort of internet money that was global, that was important. Because before, you had bank transfers, and I couldn't financially interact with someone from the US. Now it's easier even through the fiat system, but it was not back then. But with this ego thing, you could transact basically with anyone. There was no KYC. I just created an account and you could trade. It was shut down by the US government. So I was very interested in the decentralized part. So I started reading the white paper, reading about it, and so on. Then I said, okay, technology very cool. I finally understood mining, and I understood that it's not free money. You actually have to work for it. And I didn't even mine any coins back then because my computer wasn't fast enough. Even back then, it's like the CPU difficulty was quite high. I know some people who have run it on like a corporate network at night or something like that. They mined a lot of Bitcoin. So like individuals without a GPU back then couldn't
and
mine
GPUs
it.
for individual computers were much weaker than what we have today in our notebooks.
Yes, definitely. So then I said, okay, now I understand the technical part. I studied computer science. I understood, okay, this will probably work, but could it be money? and I didn't know. So I asked around, and a friend um, put me in contact with Juraj Karpiš, who is an economist of Austrian school. He was, I think, already writing his beautiful book, which is called, in English, the translation would be Bad Money. So even before Lynn Alden. And it's at least as good. Like I would say they're both great books. But this one was about the crisis, and it's the financial crisis of 2008, how they handled it, how central banks work, and so on. So it's very, very well written book. So my friend said, okay, you should meet this guy. He understands money. It's not only, he's into Austrian economics, but he understands money, writes about money, so of course into gold. Great guy. So we went for lunch to some Chinese restaurant. I remember that, and I explained it like technically how it works. I explained the limit of 21 million Bitcoin, and then I asked, okay, so what happens if if they're all gone? Like how do we expand? Can this so these questions, like when normal people hear about hard cap and they have not experienced hard money, they have these questions, and so I had them as well. So basically he explained like this is not a problem, price of one unit will just go up, and it's all fine, and it should be like this. At the end, I asked him, so like, could this be money in the future, or one of forms of money? And he said, probably not, but there's nothing stopping it. Probably not, meaning, and I agree that was a good assessment, because back then it was super risky. It was total miracle that it took off. And another friend of mine, who is the founder of Firefish, it's a collateralized lending platform. I did an interview with him, and he said that he thinks that Bitcoin now at 100K is much better deal than 10 years ago for,
10 years ago.
$100 or something.
Fully
10
agree.
years ago. Because it was risky. It's like the probability that it will not work as money or like
super high.
Gain traction was super high. Now it's super low. Like I don't like nothing stops this train. So so that was the beginning, and then I said, okay, so this guy said probably not, but it can work. So I needed to get some. I didn't mind it, so I found someone on some forum, maybe Bitcoin Talk, that said that they would send me some Bitcoin if I mailed them cash in an envelope. So from my recent visit to the US, I had a $20 bill, which was a little bit torn. So I said, okay, I put tape on it and I mailed it into Canada.
Wow.
And like 2 weeks later, some Bitcoin arrived at my address, and then I was basically trying it out with the friends. I was like sending it to my friends, and like we were talking about it and dreaming what this could bring, because this is internet money. It is we immediately realized that this is an open protocol. It's not like global PayPal or anything. So we were playing with it, and then the next kind of pivotal moment for me was that we were working with an art group called Stohoven, which is a Czech, people would say hacktivist. I don't like that name, but it's basically an art group that does artwork quite controversial, usually in public places.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Um, so we were kind of like the group consisted mostly of artists, and me and my friend Pavel, we were kind of the tech support, I would say, and we were constantly like, because we were trying it out, we were constantly talking about it, and we even used it for one project, or tried to use it for one project, to get some anonymous service that we needed for one performance. But then at some point, the artist says, okay, cool, yes, this is very interesting thing. You are talking how it will change the world and, bring freedom to everyone and make governments obsolete. But now you can't even buy coffee with it. So let's stop talking and let's try it out. So we were using it in the hackerspace already and so on. But at some moment they said, okay, to fully see if this can work as money, we will create a project which will be some kind of organization. We didn't know exactly what, but it turned out to be Parallelni Polis, with a coffee shop, co-working space, institute, and conferences, and there was a 3D printing shop back then and so on. And we would base it only on Bitcoin. Like there would be no fiat. We would not accept any fiat. And this is the test. Like, could we convince people to pay us in Bitcoin? Could we convince employees to be paid in Bitcoin, and so on? So that was 10 years ago. That's why I know it had to be a little bit earlier than 10 years, because 10 years ago we started Parallelni Polis in Prague. I did not live in Prague, so I was involved in the beginning, like to put this thing together a little bit from the technological point of view. I was not part of the philosophical framework. I didn't even know about the ideas of Václav Benda of Parallel Polis, Parallel Society. But I learned that my contribution was a little bit more technical and philosophical. And we tried it out. It was quite hard back then. Now I don't think it would be that hard, but still, it's like if you have a hipster coffee shop and only take Bitcoin, you will not have many customers buying flat whites. So we tried that then in Bratislava. So we had briefly for a few years a similar space in Bratislava, and there is now one in Košice. There were a few attempts also in Vienna and Barcelona. But now the only one that operates is in Košice in eastern Slovakia. But that's the idea, and the idea is not only like would people pay in it or want to be paid in it, but we didn't change anything in fiat. So I'll give you an example. We did a fundraise for the construction of the space in 2017. And we raised Bitcoin. We kept it in Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin went from 10,000 to 3,000. So, okay, now we have to do another fundraise because our money is at 1/3. So we had to invent strategy. So what do you do in these situations? Like if you are running an organization, it was a non-profit, but it still has,
operating costs.
Yes, the P&L has to be in black numbers. Like you, so we invented quite a few strategies for doing it in business, and they're very applicable in life as well, in personal life. If you are like running your life on Bitcoin Standard, this becomes a problem. Like you get paid in Bitcoin, then it crashes 50%. And you have a problem, maybe. Maybe you just don't want to sell at half the price. So the experiment was, yes, the first thing was the technology. Like there were no POS terminals back then. I think Apple didn't even allow Bitcoin wallets in App Store back then. So most of the people were paying with laptops. So they had a laptop and they were scanning a QR code with a webcam in Electrum and things like that.
Wow.
And you have, this is when it turns from theoretically this will change the world and fix everything to practice, meaning, okay, guys, one's a flat white and now
Let me boot up my laptop.
Yes.
Crazy.
Or the transaction doesn't confirm, double spends and many other things. So or the price crashes. So it was quite a bumpy road, but this is hacking. So okay, you try something that shouldn't work. Like any sane person would say, you cannot base a business on Bitcoin because it's volatile. Like you would go bankrupt. It's basically guaranteed unless you over invest 5x and just don't care if you're losing money. This will not work. And we found a way to make it work with many counterintuitive hacks. So just to give you an example, because
I was gonna say, are these kept secrets or can we share some of?
No. I wrote them. By the way, I have written this fat book, which is cryptocurrencies hack your way to a better life, and I have written also about these strategies. So it's quite fat. It's not about just what wallets to use and write sit down and so on. Not even maybe why it's the best money. There are much better books, but this is very practical in life situations. So one example would be you run a business, you get an invoice. It has a due date. What do? You pay it at the last date at best. It's like, okay, due in 14 days. So you pay in 14 days because why give someone money earlier than you have to? But when you have a volatile currency, you get money from the customer and you get an invoice that is due in 1 month. You pay it immediately because in a month the
no idea what's gonna happen.
Crash.
Yeah, true.
So you do exactly the opposite of what everyone is doing, and it works in this situation. So that there is one strategy. So basically, you shorten the accounting intervals. So what? And another thing, how to combat volatility without, of course, we could have changed to fiat, and the problem would go away. But that was not what we wanted to try. So what we did, at least in Bratislava, we would pay people working for us much more often. We would say, so normally a barista in a coffee shop would get a salary once a month, and we would pay every 1 or 2 days because we didn't want the Bitcoin to crash and have a problem. So it's the short accounting interval. But then you also do exactly opposite for capital investment. So let's say you want to buy a new espresso machine or a coffee machine or whatever, fancy table and chairs. So what do? You have something that is super volatile. So in normal business, someone would buy something from you. Part of it is to cover cost, part of it is profit, and part of it you put into this fund for these future purchases, because all the capital goods are depreciating, and you will need to upgrade or change things in the future, so you need to save for it in advance. So what we would do is we would remember basically the weighted average price of the Bitcoin going in. So because Bitcoin is volatile, sometimes the fund will get funded with a lot of Bitcoin when it's cheap, and when it goes up, it will be less Bitcoin. So it is basically dollar cost averaging into into this fund.
Yeah.
For future expenses. Yes, so fund for future expenses. But then when do you spend? Of course, you should
when the price is high.
When the price is high. But what is high price? Turns out you can say, okay, we have this Bitcoin thing. It is volatile. It causes us a lot of trouble. So for that, I want, let's say, 30% discount on my capital investments. I want to spend less euros to buy that coffee machine than my competition, because I have to deal with all this volatility. So I want something out of it. So you have this weighted average price of Bitcoin going in, and when you look at the current price and it's 30% higher than your weighted average price, you buy the coffee machine. So you don't know when, but you know that you are saving 30% on your capital expenses. So let's turn it into let's say a personal thing. You want to have a vacation in Thailand.
Yeah.
You don't know when, because you're saving money for it, and you save 100 euros per month into your vacation account. And when you then let's say the vacation is 1,000 euros, you will probably not get a vacation in Thailand for 1,000 euros now. That's inflation. But when I started giving this example, that was what I paid for a vacation in Thailand. But you say, okay, when I put in 1,000 euros and the value of the Bitcoin is 1,300, then I go to vacation. I just buy the ticket back then, at that point. So it is not predicting the future price. I have no idea and no opinion on when this happens. But if it's volatile, so that's what everyone says, it's volatile.
Yeah.
So that means it goes up and down. If it goes down, that means you are buying cheap Bitcoin. You are still dollar cost averaging. But then there has to be, unless it goes slowly down all the time, it's not as volatile, but it's like a line to zero. Except for this situation, there will always be a time when you will reach more than 30%. So that's when you do this investment. So these strategies, because when you are running an organization like this, you have to have a strategy for this, or you can wing it and hope you won't get bankrupt, which is what we do most of the time. But
maxi gamblers out there who are like, oh, let's wait to the last minute and see what happens. But I like it. This strategy, kind of having this 30% buffer, or kind of this 30% surplus target, you're essentially always getting things on a discount, no matter having like fixed price. When Bitcoin hits, I don't know, 150K, I'm going to take that holiday.
Yes.
No, like as you said, you put in 1,000 euros in, that equivalent sats are now worth 1,300. Bam, pull the trigger, buy your tickets, book your hotel, and just go. I like it.
Exactly.
I like it. So I guess another question is aspect of Bitcoin and freedom, kind of bringing it back to what we previously discussed. I have this feeling, maybe just me, but like most people, I feel like today going into Bitcoin, they're not going in for this. They're not buying in this like freedom ticket, but they're buying this speculative aspect, which actually we just spoke about, getting in that 30% buffer. But do you think this is going to change in the future, or you think people just, will generally always look at Bitcoin as a speculative investment asset instead of as this ticket to freedom to really kind of decouple themselves from the centralized authorities, which tell them, this is what you can do, this is how much you need to pay us, and so forth? What's your personal take?
I don't know. I think it depends also on what the overlords will do and try to do. So like how bad it gets. So for example, I have seen many people getting into Bitcoin when their account was frozen, their transaction was blocked, and things like that. And these are becoming increasingly common. Like this, one of the reasons is that all these limits are set at a fixed price. So, for example, you cannot take more than $10,000 over borders.
Yeah.
Yes. And when this was introduced, $10,000 would buy you a small house, and now it's a laptop.
Barely for your Thai vacation with a family of 4.
Yes, exactly. So many of these triggers are based on absolute numbers in fiat shitcoin. So there will be more people having this experience. Also, as you said, we are living in a world that is increasingly global. People are moving around. So people are doing cross-border transfers all the time, and it's becoming more and more common. And these get blocked more often. So it depends. Like if the fiat regime gets like very restrictive, I think many people will realize, okay. So I'll give you a concrete example. A friend of mine was living in Mallorca in Spain. And during the pandemic, the Spanish tax office just blocked all his accounts, and they said, "You owe us money." And he asked, "Okay, so what did I do wrong?" And I said, "Oh, you have to figure it out. But we're not unblocking your account.
Wow.
Fix it." And and he's like, "Okay, like I cannot even pay my accountant." Not only this, they even mailed all his customers that if this friend of mine does any work for them, they have to pay the invoice to the tax office, and definitely not in cash. And if they do, they'll get in the same trouble as he.
Wow.
So what do you do? And he asked 2 accountants. He has his accountant. He hired another accountant. He found some cash and so on.
Paid him
and
in
everyone
Bitcoin.
said, and everyone said, it's okay. There's no problem. To this day, he doesn't know what the problem is. But instead of going to the judge, he did 2 things. He agreed with the tax office to pay them quite a lot of money to make the problem go away legally. But this is how the tax office works. And then he moved out of Spain because it's one of the worst tax regimes. So if you're thinking about where you're gonna live, sure,
And
check
shouldn't be on your priority.
Yes. Check the beaches, but then ask people how is the tax office. So he's a Bitcoiner now because he knows this could not have happened to him if he didn't hold money in the bank, and it was not the bank's fault. We kind of complain about the banks a lot, but
they just get directives from the office upstairs that say, "Bam, freeze this account." Yes. I don't think it's even in their interest because banks are there at the end of the day. They just want to make money. Like they want to keep you as long as possible to be transacting, to be getting their interest rates. Yes. So I agree that people generally blame the banks, but it's not the banks that should be blamed. It's these corporate, like governmental institutions that nobody elects that kind of have a direct impact on your life. And it's scary hearing these stories. And as you said, it's Spain. It's not like, I don't know, Zimbabwe, or like, well, not that I have something against Zimbabwe, but just generally, like, you wouldn't think it's like a European country that could do that to you. But hey, like where I was born and lived most of my life in Cyprus, 10 years ago, we had that haircut where your money was just slashed. And it wasn't even the Cyprus government. It was the Brussels bureaucrats in the European Parliament that kind of said, "Oh, let's teach them a lesson. All these money launderers using Cyprus is, to wash their cash." And then bam, innocent people just got slaughtered with their savings on a Bitcoin standard that could, never happen. No one can confiscate your money, and unless you keep your seed phrase on a poster on your wall and authorities come storming through your front door.
Or your seed phrase is held by Michael Saylor or
maybe a third party Coinbase, the mega honeypot. So I guess this is a good transition way, which I had a question I wanted to ask your opinion on, Juraj. Since we're seeing more institutional parties buying Bitcoin, may that be strategy, the hottest thing on the market now, Bitcoin treasury companies and governments, some saying they'll put it on, on the reserves. Some are yet to, put their money where their mouth is, or their sats where their mouth is. Do you think we're going to see in the future a Bitcoin split between the compliant Bitcoin and the sovereign version of Bitcoin, essentially KYC and non-KYC Bitcoin? Or you think it's going to be one system? What's your take on that, Juraj?
Again, I don't know. But,
You're just personal
but
take. I know you don't know, but what's your gut feeling?
I would say it's already split in a way, because but not KYC, but it's the same way. So for example, Tether USDT is a form of US dollar. People call it a stable coin, but it's a dollar. It's like it buys the same amount of stuff as a dollar buys, so it's a dollar. So Tether is basically printing US dollars. And many other companies in this space are printing US dollars. That is, by the way, one of the things that people don't understand, that yes, private companies and individuals can print fiat money. It's not like
Federal Reserve, right? Going back to the history of the modern dollar.
Yes. So it's democratized. That is nice. But so where does it differ? Why don't people call it just dollar? Why do they say it's Tether? And one of the reasons is that the payment network is different. You cannot just wire someone USDT to their bank account. You have to go through an exchange. There is the exchange rate is fixed, but you need to change the payment network. And with these treasury companies, people invest in Bitcoin. It's like, if you believe that they have as much Bitcoin as they say, it's a form of investment in Bitcoin. And I think they have the Bitcoin because especially in the US, when people do fraud, important people usually go to jail, unless it's for sex trafficking. But but money things, like I would say, okay, they probably have the Bitcoin. But you cannot send it over Lightning Network. You cannot do an on-chain transaction. So it's split in this way. It's like the speculative value is there. But it's not split on KYC. It's split on
paper Bitcoin and real Bitcoin, on-chain Bitcoin, basically, in a sense.
I would say I don't like the name paper Bitcoin.
Okay.
I think because if it's backed by real Bitcoin, then the really difference is how you can manipulate it. Yes. So basically, your interface to this institutionalized Bitcoin is your broker that sells you stock and all these financial instruments. You cannot use it as a payment usually. You can only sell it for dollars, then pay someone in dollars, and then they can buy whatever MicroStrategy stock and so on. So in this way, I think it is split. If it's good or bad, I don't know. Like Bitcoin is also for enemies. I don't like it. I personally would prefer Bitcoin that is maybe even cheaper. Maybe we don't need to go to the million that fast, but without this institutional adoption, because then it truly is parallel society and parallel economy. But yeah, people are free to do whatever they want. Like if we preach freedom, then Michael Saylor should also have freedom. So I'm not even interested in kind of making their life harder. Let them do whatever they want to do. But in this way, it's a little bit split. Also, if you want to go from Bitcoin to traditional economy, let's say you want to buy a house, the bank will want to know where does this money come from. And in this case, for example, it might be good to have your purchases on a regulated exchange, and you would say, okay, this was my income. 10% of it I used to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. Here is the statement from the exchange, and these are the Bitcoin. Then it's quite easy to prove that it's, doesn't come from whatever scary people are in fashion right now. So even like it's, I wouldn't even say that like KYC Bitcoin is bad all the time. It depends on your values. Like if you don't want to be doxxed, if you don't want everyone, not everyone, but kind of many institutions knowing about your Bitcoin, then it's a good idea to do it non KYC. But yeah, people should know that there's more than the cypherpunk aspect. So I would be fine with the cypherpunk. This is, by the way, one things I like about the Monero community, even though I don't own Monero, that they try to be actively out of this traditional finance. Like, yes. So there were many delistings of Monero on exchanges.
Yeah.
And there were some people that said, okay, Monero is done. You can't buy it with one click on a Kraken. So like, okay, the value will go to zero. I don't know what's the price of Monero right now, but actually a big part of Monero community says, oh, perfect. Now we can try if this is actually a parallel currency and if it can work without all these normie institutions. So that's kind of nice about them, because they're running an experiment for us. So what if it's banned?
What if the rails get cut off? No on-ramp anymore.
Here's the answer, but I'm not saying Bitcoin will cost $100,000. If it happens, maybe it will be 1,000. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a proof that it can kind of work sustainably as well. I don't think it's going to happen though.
No, usually guests talk about when Bitcoin 1 million, but Euro is like when Bitcoin $1,000. But we'll see. You never know. But no, I wanted to highlight one aspect which you brought up, which I think is super important. Everybody on in the space is talking about, don't buy non KYC Bitcoin, don't dox yourself, this, that, you don't want to leave any traces behind. But I fully agree with you. In some aspects, people don't realize, don't think that long into the future, 15, 20 years down the line, when like 5 million or 10 million sats can actually buy you the house of your dreams. And, you come up to the bank all happy with, your cold card or whatever hardware wallet will be then. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to pay. And the bank's like, oh, well, please show us the proof where you got those sats. And you're like, hodl, or like RoboSats. That's where I got them. It's like you can't really prove where you got them from. And they say, sorry, sir, we can't take your sats because, you can't prove that you actually, purchased them. So I always tell people it's nice, like if you really want to have the non-KYC Bitcoin, nothing wrong with that. But like have them split in half, have your KYC'd one for future purchases where you have to declare your proof of funds where you actually acquired them, and then have the other, call it the sovereign, dark, untraceable one for your personal purchases that you don't want to, kind of disclaim that you purchased them at X amount of time.
It's true. I don't know if it's a good advice for everyone, but I think there's another problem that KYC, like many people think of like KYC Bitcoin, but Bitcoin doesn't fly with a KYC tag on chain.
It's just a server that holds the record.
Yes, even if you look at chain analysis, you don't see which Bitcoin is KYC. You can see, okay, this came from Binance or Bitstamp or Kraken or Coinbase, but other than that, like there is no like KYC Bitcoin. KYC, what it is a record of your identity with some corporation, usually, And I think this is risky by itself. So that's why I don't know if it's actually a good advice. Because maybe the problem is not that someone knows how much Bitcoin you have, but that they know that you have an account with an exchange. And like, if that gets hacked, the $5 wrench attack doesn't care about how many.
It's $15 now, euro inflation. $5 wrenches don't exist.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
That's true. And we had that with Coinbase actually just a few months ago, right?
Yes, exactly.
Which is scary.
Yes. And there's a name, address, there's often proof of funds and a lot of information. So personally, I don't use KYC exchanges anymore. And especially the ones that report. And there is going to be reporting similar to CRS starting next year in some countries, and it will eventually roll out globally. Because often the problem is not the exchange, but like when the information goes to the tax office. So how many people in some Cyprus tax office have access to the record, and like
running it on Windows 2000. Which is definitely not.
Well, that's yes, of course. The state systems are not very good, not well secured. But even if someone comes to the bank clerk that make, I don't know, let's say 5,000 euros, and that's maybe much less than that, and they put an envelope with like 20,000 euros and say, "Oh, give me the list of all the people in Cyprus that own Bitcoin." Like, I think
a lot of people are going to that list.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yes. So
interesting. So I guess privacy, and I wanted to focus this episode a lot on privacy. We kind of talked more about on life hacking and sovereignty and programming, but maybe we could at least focus on the privacy aspect for the remainder of this episode. So you've been very vocal about advocating for privacy, especially in digital privacy. And in today's world with mass surveillance, it's no secret anymore. Governments and institutions are all spying on everything we do, everything we purchase, everything we transact with, send messages. It feels harder than ever to protect ourselves. What is your take on where we are now? And maybe what are some practical tools that you could share with the audiences on how to improve their digital privacy? Bitcoin related and non-Bitcoin related, and in general aspect of our digital footprints.
So the first question that people have to answer is actually why, because that will determine the how. I would start with crypto anarchy. So crypto anarchy is an idea that you can increase your liberty by using these encryption technologies in practice. And why? How does it work? Because the ultimate restriction of your freedom is restricting the freedom of using your body. That can be done by putting people into prisons, and only physical bodies can be put into prisons. So one of the main strategies of crypto anarchy is kind of detaching some kind of your actions, your wealth, and some things that you do and you own and you are from your body. So if you have, for example, a separate online identity for your work that is not tied to your physical body, then it's much harder to put you in jail. Of course, you can fail in this, like the people that made Samurai Wallet and many other people. But nonetheless, it's still a good idea and a good strategy. And the same applies to the $15 wrench attacks. There needs to be a body otherwise, like online, you can protect yourself much more easily. You have technology like hardware wallets and so on. that's for me, that is one of the whys. Then you can have like you don't want your location to be known for various reasons, tax, and also personal security and so on. And there can be many other reasons, like people are victims of abuse and they escaped whatever abusive relationships and so on. So there are like many reasons why you would want privacy, but I think it's a good idea to be super clear about the reasons, because many people say, "Oh, bad Google, Facebook, I want privacy." Okay, so what does it mean? And how much are you willing to pay for that in your time or energy and so on? Because then you see like super hardcore privacy people that have Graphene OS. I also use Graphene OS. I love it. It's right. But they don't have like play services and so on, and they run around and, "Oh, would you please call me an Uber?" Because I don't have play services. I don't want to give anyone my location, and Uber is a corporation. They're selling the data, and I don't want to tie my credit card and so on. So okay, like if this is your thing and you want to pay the price, and you are fully conscious that you are going to complicate your life in this way, some things are worth it. So for example, I don't like sharing my location. Part of not sharing my location is not physically paying with a credit card, because that's very easily tied to the location. So I pay cash, and I'm willing to pay the price. People hate cash. I have a wallet or a pocket. I put cash and I pay cash, and it's perfect for me. But some people, they want their Apple Watch and they are not willing to have coins and stuff. So you need to be clear if you're willing to actually do it. What practical advice that I would do, I would say, is that it is much easier to have a full anonymity for very narrow part of your life than increasing your privacy in general. So I would do a project that would be 100% anonymous, and I have super tight window. Okay, I say, now I'm working on this project. I'm booted into whatever tails. I'm not using my own money, and if I'm using money, I use it in private way. I'm not using any of my identities, and okay, now I anonymous. But then I turn off the machine, and I can live my life and order food online or something like that. So, I don't use my account for that. But I think this is a very good strategy when you are actually clear on what you are trying to protect. Of course, there are some general things that will increase your privacy. Like if you install all these adblock privacy plugins, then you are just not being mined for data. But the real upside is not as high. I do it because it's cheap. I just install an extension that just works. And then when I see someone not using an ad blocker, I become nauseous when I see all those blinking ads and so on. So I always think that the internet is beautiful and clean and so on. And then I've noticed
you look behind that veil, and it's like,
yes,
it's like an abrupt fit.
I always thought, because I've never used Pirate Bay without an ad blocker, and I said, "Oh, it's such a beautiful, simple website. There's a search box,
why
nothing." And then I had to look. I wanted to download something, and I open it on whatever basic browser in Windows, and I looked and like, "What is this?" And it opens pop-ups and so on. So yeah, so there are strategies that will, for almost no cost, improve your privacy. But if you want to really go deep and understand where your information is shared and how it's used, then having a goal is maybe a good idea and kind of strategy. I want to share one project with you.
Sure.
In Slovak, it's Peter Horvat. I will send you the link. So Peter Horvat is the most common name in Slovakia. So it's basically in English, it is James Smith, I think.
Okay.
Or John Smith or something like that. So there's an English translation of this project. So I will give you the link also to the English website, and it begins, "Hello, my name is James Smith. You too? What a coincidence." And the website is basically explaining that you don't have to use your real name for everything. Doesn't, like, when you order online, no one ever asks you for an ID unless you order
no selfie picture with an ID.
Yes. Even the the delivery, the courier, no one asks you for an ID. So why are you giving your name and full address to a website where you order coffee? Doesn't make any sense.
That's
right?
the question, which I think most people never think about. Yes. They just full first name, last name, address.
Exactly. So this project is about explaining people that they can actually do this. They can use a pseudonym. There are some things you cannot do, like take a loan or show a fake ID to a policeman or something. But there are many things that you can actually do, and they're not even illegal. And you can like receive shipments. Most of the time, you can even return things, and so on. You can pay in a private way, even online, even without Bitcoin. It's called cash on delivery. Sometimes it works. I don't know about Cyprus, but it works. Maybe it costs a little bit more. Like they will charge you €1 for the service, but you can do it, and it works. So having this understanding of when you are sharing your private information, I think that's the really the first step, and being conscious about it and understanding. Okay, so when this became a thing, this Peter Horvat in Slovakia, in my e-shop where I sell books, I got around 1/3 of my orders were from Peter Horvat, which so my most loyal customer lives all around the place. But then people would use like SEPA payments, like bank transfers for that. And then I would just look at my bank statement and I would see
totally different
name. Yes. So understanding this, okay, it's not enough to type something to the form, but what about the identity that is tied to your payment information? What about sharing your location by carrying your phone around and having a phone number? For that, I also have a pretty nice solution, which is that I don't use a phone number, meaning I carry a data-only SIM card that is not tied to my name.
It's an eSIM, right? Not even a physical SIM. Or it's a
it can be a SIM or eSIM. I use eSIMs. You can buy them with Bitcoin over Lightning, so very good privacy. And then you can forward your calls to over the internet, like to a voice over IP number. So what does this give you? It's like not super hardcore privacy. Of course, you're still connecting to the cell towers, but they see, okay, this is some customer of a foreign mobile operator. This is, by the way, very cool. You always want to be in roaming because you can usually use all the networks. The local customer only connects to the network their customer of. So I get better coverage than anyone else, basically. They don't know my name. And the idea is, okay, if there's a lookup, which may be like a legal lookup with like a judge ordering it or something, but even the $15 branch attacker, this time not coming to the tax office with an envelope, but to an operator and saying, okay, where does this guy sleep every night? So they look up my phone number and they see, oh, this SIM card is turned off. We don't know.
That's true.
Because the forwarding works with the SIM off. You just set it in the network. And but it's not like if someone wants to find me, they can find me, but it's not as simple as like typing my phone number into the
register.
Into the register of the or the home. It's called home location registry. So the question.
Do you describe this in your book as well? The one that you shared earlier, or no?
This one I'm not sure. I have a.
Or this is a later hack in life that you implemented.
I think this one no, actually, but no. But yeah, you know the hack. There's not much more to it. So yeah, and then so the basic thing is to start thinking about where are you getting, because for many people it's kind of a mysterious surveillance machine in the cloud and they don't know how it works and what information is there. You need to understand how it works first, because otherwise you're just running around and you're
a headless chicken, not knowing what you're doing.
Yes. So and for me, I say things like, okay, I accept that my electronic fiat payments are tracked. There's nothing more I'm willing to do. Maybe I can do something if I live like a hermit, but it's fine. Like I'm normie. I don't have a lot of money. I'm not doing anything fishy. So for this, I'm okay. I'm not using Telegram because it's not end-to-end encrypted, and if someone wants to talk to me, I'm on better messengers. We have this technology for years now. There's no reason not to use it, and like there's no point in using these unencrypted messengers. So again, like, okay, I am willing to pay the price of not being able to message people on Telegram. Yes, sometimes it's inconvenient. Sometimes I use it through a web browser. Some Bitcoin projects and crypto projects and privacy projects have tech support on Telegram or Discord, which is like
even worse.
I see this. It's okay. I'm not using this service anymore. But because it's full of scammers, you can so easily get scammed. Like you ask a question and then 5 people message you that they're the tech support and they need your seat to check it. So I'm willing to pay the price of not being able to message people through Telegram. We were at BTC Prague. There were many Telegram groups of people hanging out somewhere. I was not part
you're
of
right.
it.
What's your Telegram? I remember that after the privacy, you were speaking to someone when I was waiting to come, meet you in person, and he was saying, "Oh, can I message you on Telegram?" You're like, "Oh, sorry, no Telegram here." That's true. Yes. It's true. Convenience sometimes needs to be like, if you want a really convenient life, then I guess privacy is not your top priority. But if you really want to get your privacy in place, and as you said, sometimes you don't have to take it to extreme levels where you don't even have a SIM and you're just kind of like, and paying everything in cash. Like, just as you said, I think it's a perfect advice that you shared with the audience. Ask yourself, why do you want to get your privacy? And then kind of what are the parameters and what are you comfortable with implementing? No need to, as you said, live as a hermit and like nobody knows who you are, where you are. Because at the end of the day, if you're an average guy, the likelihood of the government or someone like tracking you down are slim. But it's always nice to have something. And what you mentioned, kind of the advice with the smartphone, which actually is a supercomputer that most people in most countries have and don't realize how this supercomputer is spying away on you on everything you do. There's some simple steps that you outlined. You don't even have to go to the graphene OS aspect, which personally I really enjoy, but you can.
But with graphene, I would say that it sounds super complicated,
but it's pretty straightforward.
And it's just normal Android. It's like it just works. Okay, like Google Pay doesn't work. I don't know what else doesn't work for you. Google Pay and these.
But I never used Google Pay either. Or like Uber, as you said. I have my trip. My Europhone is an iPhone, so I have my Uber and all that like stuff on that. But like apart from that, since Max Hillebrand introduced me to graphene last summer,
Uber works.
Does
Uber
it?
works on graphene. Sure.
I didn't.
All the
I
banking
didn't
apps,
try.
like it's like I use I have a Google Play services installed,
Okay.
but I didn't. But on Graphene you can give it permission. So I said, okay, Google cannot know my location, so I turned that off.
So just network, and that's it.
Yes. So what do you get? What kind of privacy do you get if you don't use Play services? Like, okay, you basically Google doesn't know what apps you have installed. Like, I don't care that much. I'm not willing to pay the price. But it works. Like, if you have services, Play services, and you set it up. I even use like the Google keyboard, the Gboard. I didn't give it network access, so whatever. Maybe they're spying. I don't care. Also, you have I use Google Photos. Also without network, so I have all the local AI features and everything. The pixel camera works perfectly. I just don't allow it to upload my photos or anything to the network. So you can play with it, but like if you use it like this, it's super easy. It's like most people wouldn't even realize it's a different operating system. So don't be afraid of using it. Like people can do it very easily.
That's true. And then uploaders now, I don't know how it was previously, but like the reboot, the installation, like it's a matter of 20 minutes. Like it's very easy. Like even for non-technical people, few clicks, and you're up and running.
Yes, you don't have to even install any software. It's all from the website. You basically use it's USB, so it's like reboot it into bootloader mode, which is like holding two buttons, which is described, and then you just click a few times
and follow the steps.
Yes.
Amazing. I guess one last thing I want to touch upon before we round this incredible episode up, and I mentioned our good friend Max Hillebrand, and we talked about encrypted messaging and the release. I could not close this episode without touching upon white noise, which I heard about a few months ago, and it was under the hood developing, and now it's been a matter of a few weeks that it's actually publicly been launched and people are testing it out. What do you want to share with the listeners with white noise? If I'm not mistaken, it's the first encrypted private messaging app that doesn't require you to input a phone number. Is that correct? Or there's other alternatives?
It's not first. No. There are other. Simplex, for example. All the Nostr-based KeyChat and so on.
Nostr, yeah. Okay. I never used Simplex, so I didn't know about that. But like, for example, Signal, which most people used in Prague, like I had to input my number just like with all the other ones. What's your take on white noise?
I'm looking forward. One thing it's supposed to be really good at is big groups, which a lot of these projects have a problem with.
Yeah,
and I think like when Elon Musk used to call Twitter Town Square, I think Town Square is actually encrypted chat groups, and like more than 1,000 members is really a problem also with Signal and Simplex and so on. So I hope that white noise with MLS will solve this problem. What I also like is that it will use your Nostra identity, because with Signal, yes, they require a phone number. They have a very good reason for it, and I think that white noise kind of builds or uses the same idea with Nostra identity. So the reason is that so it used to be that when you wrote someone with Signal, they would see your phone number. Now they don't see the username. But the idea is, if you have someone in your contact list and you want to write them on Signal, you don't need any other identifier. You basically write them because you already have their phone number, and you can just text them and it works. So for growing the network effect, it is good to use an identifier that everyone already has. Email would be another one, but people have many email addresses, so like different ones for different projects and so on. So
it's not an identities.
Yes, for different identities as well. So White Noise uses Nostr. Right now, they don't recommend using your like normal Nostr identity just because it's like super alpha. I put it there anyway because like I'm reckless. But that might be a good idea. Okay, so I follow you on Nostr, then I can just write you with White Noise, and there's no friction basically. If I know your Nostr identity, I don't need to ask you, oh, could you please tell me your public key or your White Noise address or something. So Simplex is interesting in this because it's completely reversed. There are no identities on Simplex. There's only let's say an invite link which creates a circuit, and it's not permanent. So you can just cancel this invite link. There are one-time invite links and so on. So it's not even possible to prove that, like, if we chat together, and I chat with someone else, you cannot prove that I'm the same person to the other person. There's no identifier to say, okay, this is the same person, because there's no identity. So this is very good for spam protection. Because unless I give you my invite link, there is no way to write me. There's no way to look me up. If I get spammed by some invite link that is shared publicly, then I just deactivate it, and it doesn't affect my existing conversations. It just stops working. So I can't say, which is best, but
depends on the circumstance and use case, right?
Yes, exactly. So I'm very excited. I hope that we will have the town squares and the 21 groups of the 21 Bitcoin meetups and chat groups and meme groups and everything. I'm really looking forward to that, because those are fun. Like the public social media, I don't think is as much fun. And even the young people, they're on Discord, they're on Telegram. Maybe they're on something that we don't know about even, but except for TikTok. But yeah, they got it. They want a community. They have the Discord server, which is not really a server because it's run on Discord infrastructure, but that's where they have their channels and their interactions. So I think it's good that White Noise is building something like that, but with privacy, tied to Nostr. So I hope it will be successful.
It's exciting times indeed. Juraj, thank you so much for this deep and enlightening conversation. Thank
you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast, and your work reminds us that freedom isn't something that's given. It's something we build every day, and with intentions and courage. Where can we send our listeners who want to purchase your books? I believe you have some courses as well, and essentially follow your work online.
Yes, so follow my work online is best on my Nostr. I'm also on Twitter or on X, but I like interacting on Nostr much more.
Same.
I have also a website with an eShop with my books and a few courses, which is on hackyourself.io. It also links to my blog, which is on another domain, but it's there. I have a occasional podcast, which is called Option Plus, for increasing your options. It's on optionplus.io, or you will find it in any app. But yeah, I would say hackyourself.io, and there you'll find things. I have even a free, no registration required, super fast intro course to Bitcoin and acquiring it without KYC. so that you'll find you don't need to even register. You can just go through it in a few minutes and learn how to use Bitcoin. I have quite a lot of talks online. So if you go through my blog, there are even talks about increasing your optionality and liberty. So
amazing.
podcast or
amazing. We'll definitely include those in the show notes. But yeah, and also a huge thank you to everyone tuning in to this episode of Your Bitcoin Story. If you enjoyed this conversation with Juraj, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It's a simple way to support the show, and it helps spread those powerful ideas of freedom, sovereignty, and financial independence to more people who need to hear them. If today's conversation inspired you to take control of your Bitcoin, not just hold it, but truly own it, then check out my Become Unruggable. It's my one-on-one self-custody mentorship program where you will work personally with me to make sure your Bitcoin is secure, your setup is sovereign, and your mindset is unstoppable. Get in touch via the link in the show notes, or reach out to me directly on Nostr or X while we're still there. And I'll leave you with this final quote: freedom isn't given, it's taken, one private key, one sovereign action at a time. Until next time, stay free, stay sharp, and stay sovereign.